Thank you, Abhishek. As you rightly observed, digital is the central pivot which is going to determine our future, and it is imperative that businesses take serious cognizance of this and what it entails. Now, our next discussion is a leadership insights panel, and this drills down deeper into the concept that Abhishek highlighted in his talk. Now, there are two aspects that are critical to the path of enabling rapid digital transformation. One is creating newer experiences, and two, delivering to the expectations. Now, to tell us more about how we should be thinking when it comes to experiences and expectations, please welcome Sankaranarayanan Raghavan, the Chief Technology and Data Officer at Indiafirst Life Insurance, Saravanan Subramaniam, Sara, the Regional Vice President of Channels and Alliances for APAC at Outsystems, and Ravishankar Pingali, the COO and Head of Digital at Wurth IT India. And leading this discussion is Smriti Gandhi, the editor at Dynamic CIO. Over to you, Smriti. Take it away.
Thank you, Ashwin. Good afternoon to all of you. Now, in a few months' time, we all have been speaking about COVID. The COVID-19 crisis has brought about years of change in the way companies operate in all sectors, all regions, on how to do business. Now, the pandemic has made it very clear that there is no one single, I repeat, digital transformation strategy for every company, and that all companies must tailor their digital needs to the market conditions that they are navigating. Digital adoption has taken a quantum leap at both the organizational and the industry level. Now, amid all of this digital disruption, management processes are being transformed. CIOs have become the center of the processes and are tasked with the navigating risk involved with the pandemic. Firms are looking at outsourcing strategy, specifically with regards to adoption of technologies, even if it comes at a higher cost. Digitization of the customer and the employee experience has emerged as a very critical mechanism to ensure business continuity during and following the pandemic, and if I must say post-pandemic. I hope we don't have to look at the third wave, and fingers crossed for that. Now let me directly delve into the discussion. I have an amazing panel here to discuss on new expectations and experiences, the drivers for rapid digital transformation. So let me start with Sankar. Sankar, I wanted to ask you, you're from the insurance background, and the COVID-19 pandemic has brought a major shift in the perception of insurance specifically from the consumer's point of view. What are the strategic challenges that were identified, and what were the technology-led initiatives that you had undertaken in this year and last year?
Yeah. Firstly, thanks, Smriti, for having me part of the panel. I think as rightly mentioned by you, I think the pandemic has only accelerated the technology transformation. So it started off with the various startups, the fintechs of the world coming into picture, and it got accelerated with the pandemic. So I think we had a major shift in terms of whatever we are doing. So insurance majorly needed some sort of what you call we have to meet with the customer, and then we need to explain them why they need to have and what they need to have and all those things. So that was a major thing. First thing is that how are we going to support new customer acquisition, right, without contact? So that's the first thing. So how did we do it? Correct. So no one was very having the clue how long the pandemic was going to go. So we thought, okay, irrespective of whatever it is going to take, whether it's going to take 3 months, whatever it is going to do, let us explore. Let us not wait for the pandemic to end. Let us start exploring four things. So one of the things is what we started doing is that everything was through technology. One is e-Sampark. So we said that, okay, how can we connect with the customer? So we created the Zoom calls of the world, and then the teams wherein we started interacting with the customers, virtually, and then started explaining to them various things. So e-Sampark is something like, it's like a customer engagement, a new customer acquisition stuff. I think it gave us a very good result in the beginning, and it's something which we are continuing now. But yes, now we have started moving to meeting customers, but still where there are, say, video-enabled calls, what we need to do, we do that. We started using co-browsing. So something like wherein customers they are good in adapting technology, but something which they need some help. We started using co-browsing, wherein we can help them when they're stuck and where they're stuck and how can we proceed with that. Third thing which we launched, which was super duper hit in the earlier days, is a Garbite insurance. We found that there are a lot of talent available, and people who are willing to work in a virtual way. correct? Why not we tap them? Why not we use them to help in acquiring new customers? So that is something which helped us to keep up with the appropriate pace even during pandemic, correct? And that's something which helped us. The second thing we had, in fact, we saw a good amount of impact is servicing the customers. Some of the customers used to work with us in terms of mails and courier, correct? So we needed to move them to a virtual world. So we started telling them, okay, there are some self-service options which are all available to you. Why don't you do it? And then why don't you send us the soft copies? And then why not we do certain things using video calls of assistance and all those things of verification. We have to do verification whenever we acquire a new customer for some segment, and then we have to do verification in terms of what you call claims as well. So we started doing all those things using video calls and other things. The third one is employees. Employees is something which is very important, correct? We are a connected team before pandemic struck us. And now we have to work away with each other, being physically away. We need to work with each other and we need to collaborate and we need to do that. We hadn't planned anything at that point of time. We had all those technologies which were available with us at that point of time. The Teams was there. Even the Yamas were of the world were there. But then all these things became much used, correct? The Teams from nowhere becoming like a clear thing on daily basis stuff. And the Yammer is something wherein people started putting up their each stories and other things. And then we have the Office 365, which we had already moved on, which helped us in collaborating things. We started moving to virtual town hall, virtual coffees, everything, correct? It did help in engaging with my people and ensuring that, yes, we continued in whatever we were doing. And then the confidence grew with the time. It was a little bit of tough in the beginning, but yes, with the time, I think people started adapting to it, and it is now in a better stage.
Great, sir. Given that the physical act of selling was affected, you all took care of the engagement of three parties, is what I understand. The customers, who are your external stakeholders, and your internal stakeholders, which included your employees and your agent and the distribution channel, right? So yeah, that's a great thing to hear about your engagement. So I want to ask you, Ravi, as a digital transformation service provider, we already heard from Shankar from the insurance industry because he's a part of it. So from a service provider, what do you think are the imperatives that the insurance industry had to factor in?
Once again, thank you for having me here, Smriti, and glad that Shankar already started the ball rolling. I think I kind of concur with what you said, and just to extend to what you mentioned about specifically the use case at Indiafirst, right? I think accelerated digital adoption is no more a discussion point. I think that's something that people are doing it and need to do it. And as we speak, and we have been hearing this, and the pandemic only made it much more real in true sense, that every business is digital business, right? I think that's something we've been hearing for a while, and that concept or a thought just got further strengthened by what the pandemic did to all of us. And likewise, I think insurance is no exception. I think the pressure on that particular industry has been immense, and like I said earlier, I think kudos to them for standing up to it. I think they certainly adopted a lot of technology tools, and which probably helped them from a complete collapse, right? I think because one can imagine a pandemic kind of thing hitting us out of nowhere, and technology was not even handy for them to make use of. I think from that standpoint, I think insurance definitely transformed to a large extent in the last 2 years, more than what it did in the last decade, probably. And I think this particular change or transformation is here to stay, and this is cutting across all their operations or all their the entire life cycle of their operations, right from product definition to rollout to the point of sale software to claims and servicing and everything else. I think nothing is more important today than being quick and quick turnaround, whether it is servicing, selling, or making sure the customer is still taken care of. And I think, and Shankar brilliantly touched upon the point about employees, right? While we are always very paranoid about the end customer where we are selling, what is important is the channel or and the medium through which we sell these products have to be equally enabled and completely in sync with what the whole system is about, right? Technology adoption is as at the pace at which it happened and will continue to happen. I think the internal workforce and the partners that we work with have to be equally enabled as the time progresses. And this is a given, I would say, right? And this is something I'm seeing and experiencing, and it is here to stay forever.
I echo your words. Now digital transformation is no longer a nice to have; it's become a must to have. And I think there is no point of discussion. There is no point of discussion saying that should we or should we not. First, there were, we used to have for the BFSI sectors and other sectors. Is digital transformation important? Should we incorporate it? Not incorporated? I think that's not a question in any industry anymore. So I totally echo your words. So Sara, coming to you, how is Outsystems used in the insurance industry, if I may ask?
Thank you, Smriti, for having me as part of the panel. So that's a very good question. But before I begin, first, I wanted to say that for Outsystems, we are actually a low-code, or should I say, a modern application development platform. Right, so our product is actually designed to accelerate and simplify application development process with the goal of helping business go to market faster and with more agility. So as a full stack development platform, Outsystems support entire application lifecycle range, covering broad sets of use cases and covering all industries, right? It's a horizontal offering, and there isn't a specific focus on a particular industry. So our clients span across industry, and they usually leverage on Outsystems to address their top digital transformation priorities, innovation, and all this is revolving around applications that target and focus on enhancing customer experience. We talk a lot about workplace innovation is very crucial, especially in these current times, and overall is process automation and modernizing a lot of these legacy systems where speed and agility and simplicity is required. Now, having said that, we have been tremendously successful in the insurance industry, even before COVID time, right? Together with our partners, because as I mentioned, our platform is horizontal, but we have a lot of partners, as an example, Wurth IT, that have helped various insurance clients in responding to new demands, right? Rolling out new products in a matter of days, weeks, rather than months and years. A lot of them are embarking on digitalizing their existing products, improving our customers' marketing analytics, business intelligence to help with their conversion rate, overall improvement on omni-channel, digital distribution, and as I mentioned, everything is now very focused on enhancing a much better customer experience. All right. Our partners have really built a lot of simple and intuitive digital self-service portal and also COVID-19 specific product offerings, right? So if I were to say some of the specific, or I would say common use cases that most of our clients in the insurance industry have done revolves around digital claims management, that results in like significant cost reduction. Also things like, customer and intermediary, such as brokers or agents. Self-service is kind of like the new norm right now. People are, we got no choice, right? We've got to work in a digital way. Things like, the intelligent case management, right? How do we optimize and digitize case management process to reduce overall manual time? As well as one of the things that I would like to mention is also the commission payments. Wurth IT has built a application kind of like to approach a different way of how we actually detail out sales agent commissions, incentive, and schemes via native mobile application. So we've got plenty of wide use cases and also references from insurance customers that has details on actual outcomes that our customers have achieved. As an example, I would say in Asia, we also had a client that jumped from rank number 33 to number 8 within a 4 years time span. So due to our strong partner ecosystem, I would say that we leverage and work very closely with our partner. As an example, as I mentioned, is Wurth IT. They have very in-depth expertise and domain knowledge in the BFSI space. And that's how we collaborate and deliver such a wide range of use cases.
If I have to sum, I usually tell, the technology has to have, we talk about 4 P's of marketing, right? Usually. I always talk about 4 S of technology, okay? Speed, scale, secure, and simple. Now, after talking to you and hearing to you, I'm going to add 2 more S. One is self-service and one is savings. So if you have a blend of all the 6S, I think that's the kind of technology that any provider would, company or an organization would want. I hope you agree with me, Mr. Sankar, on this. Okay. And Sarah, you also spoke about customer experience, the importance of customer experience. So, Mr. Sankar, I want to ask you from an insurance point of view, how do you adopt a more customer-centric approach using technology specifically, rather than just focusing on selling of products?
It's a very interesting question, correct? I just want to counter the question firstly. I strongly feel that we are not selling. We are in protecting lives, guarding futures, correct? Giving security to current and next generation. That's what we feel. We don't sell, correct? This approach is nothing but customer-centric for an intangible product, correct? I feel all the organizations are customer-centric, certainly. Correct? Without customers, organizations are not going to be there because there is a purpose. Particularly insurance is nothing but customer-centric, correct? It is just that the awareness of insurance is low, or there's a denial of a need of insurance that has made it like that we are selling. We are doing hard selling here, correct? Thankfully, with the pandemic, I feel that there is a reduction in the denial, and the awareness has also increased, correct? I can tell you that in whatever we do, we keep customer in the center, but also taking care of other aspects like regulation, distribution, assistance, customer experience, everything, correct? I think the adoption of new technologies has made this approach more and more stronger, and which is evidently seen with an increase in net promoter score, persistency with which the customers are with us, correct? Earlier, if at all, some companies used to talk about even 80% persistency. Now we are all touching easily 80 plus and 90, correct? And reduction in compliance. So I think insurance as an industry, as such, is purely customer-centric. Since you asked about the industry, I think we don't sell. But yes, the technology adoption and new technologies have made it really, really easy for us to do this in a better way.
So, what you said was right. The pandemic has, turned tables. Now the expectations of consumers have changed, and the kind of experiences that they want, companies have to adopt to the upcoming and the new technologies to give them the kind of experience that they are demanding, and also it benefits the company as well, right? So, Sara spoke about innovation. So I wanted to check with you, Ravi. Innovation is a key pivot for accelerated digital transformation. All of us are aware about it. So what was the innovation advantage that you brought in with engagement in partnership with Outsystems?
Okay. To begin with, let me try the baseline right, because innovation has interpretations. It varies from P2P and context to context, right? For me, when I answer this, I would say it's just ideas that are converted into practical products and services that essentially create value for the end user or the customer, right? That's the way let's try to term it, right? Because it may go very hypothetical otherwise. It's better to keep it very contextual. But I think in this particular instance, I would say, we were very clear and right from the beginning by virtue of our expertise in the domain, the industry that we are working with, and obviously the expertise that we carry in the Outsystems as a platform, right? I think it was important for us to marry these together because we were involved right from the ideation phase of this particular engagement with Indiafirst, where we really understood the larger objectives what the business had, what were they trying to do, what were they trying to establish by virtue of this engagement, right? And which was very crucial for us to be a part of. Else we would just be somebody who would just be doing what is expected of us, right? I think we play the true partner mode. And I think what helped us in really innovating is being a part of this whole story right from the beginning, right from setting the objective, getting the ideas out of what it is required, and which in toto helped us in trying to define a strategy to leverage the best of Outsystems and marry it with what something else has to be complemented with, right? I think, and there were situations where a lot could not have been done out of box. We certainly did a lot of proof of concepts and made sure at the same time that no objectives were lost in translation. right? I think our in-depth knowledge and ability to be able to stay focused on the larger objective kept us, absolutely in the right spirit. And that to me, innovation is because that's what gave us an outcome which probably is much more appreciated, usable, and accepted across Indiafirst and their customers, and in fact the users within Indiafirst. I think that to me is what we brought to the table, and that's become key because you have to have the end user in mind when you're building something. It can't just be you're just reading something and trying to build something. I think you're always connected with the end users and you get their perspective. I think the key to innovation, as they say, when something is called innovation, it's not a piece of code that's thrown up there and people are trying to grab at it. I think the user empathy cannot be lost at any form and stage. And I think that's important, and that's something we hold very close to our heart, and we kind of maintain that as we go through the iterations. So that's been the key, and that's how I think we were reasonably successful in trying to do this.
I think what you focused on, you followed a very customer-centric approach to this whole, for your partnership with Outsystems, and to deliver that kind of, how to achieve the kind of expectation what your client wanted in terms. Here we're talking about Indiafirst, so that the experiences that the client and the customers of Indiafirst would be achieved. So, Mr. Sankar, I would want to ask you, here we are talking about implementation, technology, innovation. Which are some of the new implementations and innovations in the emerging tech, that one should brace for a more optimistic picture? Any use cases? We already have Ravi and Sara for Wurth and Outsystems to talk about the case. But yeah, any other use cases, and what should one brace for a more optimistic picture?
I think that's a strong reason. There has to be a strong reason for any new implementation or innovation. You mentioned about, Sara mentioned about 4 S's, and then you made it 6 S now. So with that being in consideration, I think for me it is something like just to help and aid in new customer acquisition. It has to either be helping process efficiency or streamlining the process. It has to reduce the time to market for sure. And it has to help me in new ways of doing business. So those are all the things I think for me, if at all it ticks one of these boxes, which helps me in coming up with new innovation and with new technology, right? We always keep an eye on new innovation, right? We have recently, not recently, it's more than 15-18 months, we have implemented AI/ML powered data lake. We use ML-based models at various stages of the processes, correct? And we also implemented a new this low-code, no-code platform, which is nothing but Outsystems platform, right? Which entire distribution of all channels of my distribution use this, correct? Which reduced the number of systems what we had. We had from 6 applications which the distribution team are using, correct? And various distribution team are using. But now all are using only one. Sara mentioned it's simple to do business, and we have named this application Simplify, correct? And it's something, it's first of its kind in my view. When I say that it all encompasses everything, right? It's completely paperless for me. And for being a young insurer and aggressively growing insurer, correct? Sara mentioned about some insurer who have adapted Outsystems, have moved from 33rd rank in Asia to 8th rank, correct? We implemented the Outsystems Simplify last year. It's just going to be 1 year around the corner, correct? We have moved from 12th to 10th position in India, correct? From youngest insurer to 10th position, and moving forward, I think Outsystems and what we have simplified is something which is very, very key and crucial to us. It has become the backbone for distribution today, correct? This distributor, each and every distributor uses this system. It's also mobile, and it's only one code for me, and it also works when there is no network, correct? So it makes life very easy for anyone and everyone, and it helps in getting new customers. So it's a new innovation for me because I have used a new low-code, no-code platform, which is upcoming and which is, and I think Sara should use my use case going forward because it is a very, very strong use case wherein my 3,000 odd properly distributors are using, and beyond that, more customers and more distributors are using. So that's something which we are doing, and there are many things under proof of concept at this point of time, whether it's voice-based stuff and other things. So innovation is a continuous thing for us because we are in a new world where we are connected, and we need to have something which is very, very simple and which gives us very good amount of data for us to do things in a focused way.
So Sankar, being very simple, and you went into complete application modernization for the future, right? So, Sara, I wanted to ask you, we all know COVID-19 is a black swan event. What is your point of view on the current scenario of application modernization, something like what Indiafirst has taken, and its future?
It's a very good question. Yeah, indeed, COVID-19 has disrupted a lot of aspects in our life, right? You heard from Sankar how he had to kind of pivot the business to adapt with a lot of things. But one thing is for sure, COVID-19 is here to stay, and it's going to stay for quite a while, and we have to come to terms to that, right? As now things are starting to open up in many countries, we've got to learn to live with the virus. Economic activities has to happen, and a lot of countries are moving into an endemic stage. However, we need to be mindful that while everyone was impacted by COVID, be it directly or indirectly, not everyone was impacted adversely, right? There were businesses that were doing very well, right? There's upsurge in, for instance, like, in the food, pharmaceutical space, personal goods, life sciences, and so forth, right? And if I would try to categorize it, there are industries that did very well. There's a lot of overwhelming demand, okay, that they can't cope. Think about your online groceries, your home deliveries. And then we have those that are probably in the middle of the situation where they are still doing okay, all right? They're still seeing positive growth, but they are looking at maximizing new opportunities, all right? Because, think about the telcos, the banking, healthcare, they all are not very badly impacted, but they see how they can capitalize the situation. And moving down the chain is where the less fortunate industry, which is negatively impacted. In there, we have those that are, they see a small decline in revenue, and they are really focused on just offsetting revenue declines, pretty much in a kind of like a cost avoidance mode. And then at the bottom of it is those that are really severely impacted, which they are either out of business or in a survival mode. So why I'm saying this is coming back to your question is that despite seeing that, COVID started where we really saw the impact and lockdown was like early January, and it's been almost 2 years. But the application modernization space has become even more important than ever. As you all said, digital transformation, innovation is no longer a nice to have. It's a must have in order for you to cope and stay relevant in the market. So people are coping using this application modernization to cope with demands that came about from COVID. And there are those who are staying relevant or venturing into new opportunities and taking advantage of new revenue streams, to compete in the market. Granted, at each point, different industries will react to the situation differently based on the categories or state of business that I mentioned. But overall, there is a common theme across all industries, which is supply chain issues, operation, workforce, sales and payments, travel, and as well as regulations. So these are all very common, real issues that every business needs to address. Okay, they need to get the elephant out of the room, and the pandemic has really opened up a lot of people's eyes and make them think seriously and reassess of the current state of their business. Right, and when you talk about all this, digital transformation is the key, and within digital transformation, you can't escape from application modernization. It's the heart. And when we talk about application modernization, you heard about speed, agility. In fact, the whole theme here is fast IT matters, right? So you can't achieve that without modernizing your application. So to summarize, I would say that even in the current scenario, we see growth in application modernization space, and it will continue to accelerate. You can see third-party data, analyst predictions, and forecasts. It's all pointing towards a very bright future for application modernization.
I think application modernization, is very much required for in the agile environment, and to accelerate the business. So, Sankar spoke about data lake and all. So, we all know that how insurance and data are very closely connected. So, Ravi, I wanted to ask, data and tech can converge across various customer touch points, and technology has definitely made this whole experience much easier. How do you augment end user experience with use of technology?
Very loaded question, and I think I must say customer experience is, I think now that the key is integrated user stories, or we call it multi-channel or multi-channel approach that people call it, right, in different ways. The key here is there is so much of data and information available about the customer, about everything that about the customer is all about. I think there's a lot of proactive initiatives that can be done by the companies, and people are doing it. And then we see this plethora of changes coming up, right from customer acquisition all the way to servicing. And I think the whole game is moving towards a frictionless interaction with the carrier. That's what the customer's expectation today is. And we have to also keep in mind the Gen Z or the later generations are very, very savvy about technology, and they love this kind of channel of interaction. And I think that's where this data is being put to good use, wherein the focus, particularly in the insurance sector, as I understand and I know of, and which you're also focusing on, is more towards how the product definitions of the products can be rolled out faster and can cater to the dynamically changing needs of this generation and ahead. I think just from using this data for automation alone, this particular data is now being put to use, or these technologies are being put to use, AI, ML, as we call it, but not just for automation, even much beyond it, something more proactive in nature. And I think that is a major drift, and we see, and we certainly are experiencing and actually doing it for customers. I think I see that happening at a rapid pace. There are people, I think, are moving the cognitive technologies and bringing in that human flavor, though using technology, is still coming in. I think I'm a great fan of betting big on the product definition and rollout, because the underwriting, the times and the cost that the insurance companies have been spending on, I think there is a huge focus by virtue of so much of data being available. I think they're trying to see how they can shorten the whole span there to be able to roll out products and situations faster, react to situations much faster. And that to me is the key. And like we said, customer experience is an outcome, and all these are maybe the building blocks to bring about that change in overall.
And Sankar already touched upon, when he spoke about process, and that's what he echoed what you exactly said.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, Sankar, something. When we talk about insurance or we talk about the BFSI sector specifically, two things which come to our mind are compliance and data. Okay. Now, balancing our regulatory compliance with technology is very crucial in whenever we undertake any kind of transformation or any kind of decision in this industry. How does one ensure that this gets achieved while you implement a new solution? Isn't it a very daunting task?
I think it's like this, correct? So regulation, there's a purpose for regulation and regulator, and they are here to protect the customer's interest and also help the industry to grow. So it's they have a twin objective, right? They have to help certainly they are helping the industry with the regulations which are changing with the time. So what we do, correct? So there are certain things, two things. One, we do regulations as my boundary condition. I keep the regulations as my boundary condition and customer center and design whatever I need to do. Then it becomes like I'm within the compliance, 4 walls of the compliance, correct? That is one thing. Second, wherein we see that there are certain things which needs to change. There's a continuous engagement which happens with the regulator. Like, and regulator is also aware of what are the things, what is happening and how the world is changing. And we also engage with them, correct? And then we say that, okay, these are all the things what needs to be changed and how it is going to still protect the interest of the customer. And it's going to help us in doing the stuff. The good thing is that the regulators are listening really well and also changing things within time and also helping protecting the interest and helping us grow. So yes, my clear thing with which we do is that keep the regulation as a boundary. Then it becomes easy for you, correct? We need to understand that that's the protective layer for me, protective layer for the customer. So then do whatever, that's the play field. Play whatever you want to do within that, correct? If the goalposts are getting changed, well and good for everyone. But if it's not, play within them.
So I think, to deliver the kind of experiences that you want for the customer and to manage the expectations, you have to be you have to have a very balanced approach within the boundaries of the regulation.
That's
this discussion can keep going on, and we are in paucity of time. So I still would want to have, I would start with you, Sara. Any key takeaways for our listeners? We had an amazing discussion on for the experiences and the expectations for customers and how rapid digital transformation, it's a key driver for this. So your last words for our viewers.
I would say that, my key takeaway is that in the past, pre-COVID, I would say that a lot of people have the thought, but there was a compelling reason to move, but there wasn't a compelling event. They have reasons to look into it, but there wasn't a specific event to move the needle. And today with COVID, now they have a compelling event to move. That's all I want to say.
Ravi?
I would say, like you said, fast IT matters, and reason being the same, because now or never. And while COVID just gave us a glimpse, I think this situation and adoption of the technology is here to stay. I think if you don't jump onto the bandwagon now, you could well be late. I think it's more about existential crisis than choice, right? I think you have to be there, and once you get started, don't look back. Yeah, but most importantly, stay in the context. Don't just blindly adopt something because somebody else is doing it. I think, yeah.
That's an amazing key takeaway. Sankar, over to you.
I'll say we need to keep identifying things, adapt, accelerate, and grow.
Amazing. Before I end, I just want to say one thing. I mean, we always call the medical fraternity as a frontline workers, I truly think that even when Sara spoke about the delivery guys who were forced to work in the pandemic or the insurance, I think they all are frontline workers to ensure that, we kept going and we could survive till now. And we know that things ahead are not that good still. And it is still going to take a lot of time for this pandemic to go off. And thank you. So I want to salute the insurance companies also, because I truly believe that they are one of the frontline workers. So kudos to everybody, and also to the providers for these sectors. It may see insurance, it may see the medical fraternity, or it may see the delivery agents or the logistics chains, to ensure that the kind of experience that my customers were sitting at home, ill, not ill, wanted, they were able to, join hands with the frontline workers to ensure that the kind of experiences were given to the consumers and the customers. So kudos to you also, guys, Ravi and Sara, for, you're a part of the service providers. So kudos to you. And this is an amazing discussion. Thank you so much. And over to you, Ashwin.